What's happening, guys? Welcome to Let's Talk Comics, and today what I want to talk about is one of my favorite times of the year, Heroescon. Heroescon is this weekend. If you are not familiar with Heroescon, it is one of the biggest comic book conventions out there, and it is widely known as one of the last pure comic book only conventions. No celebrities, no voice actors, no video game demos, nothing like that. 100% just pure comic books and comic book creators and retailers selling comics. Located in Charlotte, North Carolina. It is a very long running con. Probably, let's see, I think the first time I went was in 97 or 98, something like that, and it had been going on way before that. It's a pretty big name con. You get a lot of big names out there. This year, the guest list really ratcheted up quite a bit. They have Scott Snyder coming. Nick Dragata was there last year. Artist of Absolute Wonder Woman, Hayden Sherman's going to be there. Just a real big G.I. Joe super creator. Larry Hama's going to be there. Art Adams, Tom DeFalco, Ron Friends. All the great, the Simonsons, Walton Weezy are going to be there. John Romita Jr. So if you are someone who is a big fan of comic books, I highly recommend checking out Heroescon. I will be going there. I'll be leaving on Friday morning to go. Looking forward to getting quite a bit of books signed. I've got stuff for Tom DeFalco, Mark Bagley, Hayden Sherman. Let's see who else. Tom Scioli. I'm going to get him to sign my Fantastic Four Grand Designs trade paperback. I'm a big fan of Tom Scioli. Hayden Sherman. I'm definitely going to stay away from the Scott Snyder, Nick Dragata. Daniel Warren Johnson is going to be there. I'm going to stay away from that area because I can only imagine how packed it's going to be. But Heroescon is one of my favorite cons out there. Have no interest in San Diego. I'm not all that big into movie launches and video game launches, TV show launches, whatever. Been to New York 4 times, something like that. And while New York does have a really nice comic book section, they've got a real nice artist alley. It has gotten to the point where the crowds are just overwhelming, especially if you're in the main area of the Javits. Plus I have to fly to New York, so one of the downsides about that is I can't do as much shopping as I would like, as opposed to Heroescon, where I got a hotel within walking distance, and I drive my car and I can just load my car back down with all the stuff I buy over the 3 days I'm there. That's another really good thing about Heroescon. Going to these cons, you get a real good idea of what comic books are actually worth outside of your big ticket keys. There are so many boxes that are dollar box only, 2 for $1, $2 boxes, everything like that. Comics, you can go and you can literally just like load up on comic books for an insanely cheap amount of money. And it's, if you're someone like me who's a pure reader, then it's a dream con to go to. I highly recommend it. I always talk really positive of Heroes. I'm such a big fan of it. It's very laid back, family friendly atmosphere. The list this year is probably, the guest list this year is probably the best it's been in a couple of years. Now, I say that, and sometimes I wonder if I say that because I've been going for so long that I've seen all the guests that they announce year in and year out. I've already seen them and gotten signatures and everything. And this year they added quite a few first timers. They added Mark Russell, but he dropped out. I'm very disappointed in that. I'm a big Mark Russell fan. I was going to get him to sign my Flintstones deluxe hardcover, but he dropped out. He canceled, so that kind of sucks. But today is Tuesday, and I will be leaving for Heroescon on Friday morning at 6. It's about a 3-hour drive for me. So I'll get there hopefully right about the time the con's fixing to open. Walk over from the hotel and start my con weekend. Don't really know what big ticket items I'm looking for this weekend. I've got a handful of things I want to get signed, obviously. Actually, I've got more than a handful. I think I've got too many. But I think a lot of the stuff I want to get signed, I'm going to play by ear. But as far as big ticket books, I want to get signed, or as far as purchases, I kind of want to get a First Metal Men. I'm a big fan of the Metal Men. I've always liked how unusual and quirky they are. So I'm thinking about that. Thinking about probably trying to get a first X23. So I'll have to look around to see how much that is. See if I can find one that's not overpriced, or see if I find one. See, I'm very torn because the first X23, I see two books. In one they have first cover appearance, and then the other one they have first appearance of X23. But the one that they have first appearance of X23, that actually looks like her on the cover. So I'm not really sure what the deal is there. I got to do a little bit more reading up before I leave. I don't want to buy something that I don't want. But I've got that, First Metal Men, a couple other odds and ends books I'm looking to pick up. Actually, this year I'm not terribly... I don't have a bunch of runs I need to fill. I've been, I tell you another book, another big ticket book I'm looking to pick up is either First Mysterio or Second Vulture. I only need 2 more Ditko Spider-Mans and I'll have the full run. So I'm going to try and pick up one of those two to get myself oh so closer to having a full Ditko and Lee Spider-Man run. But what I was saying is, normally I go and I hit all the dollar boxes and the quarter boxes and try and finish runs up. This year I don't really have that many runs that I'm working on. I've got a lot that I finished up throughout the year by shopping on mycomicshop.com. Because like I said, I'm mainly a reader, and a lot of the runs that I'm putting together, I just want to read and move on. My comic book shop is a great mycomicshop.com is a great place for that. And another great place for that is Galactic Comics in South Carolina, where every back issue is cover price. So if you're looking to put together runs, Galactic Comics is an incredible resource for that. So I don't think I'll be hitting the dollar boxes at Heroescon that much this weekend, but sometimes they have sales that are too good to pass up. You know, when you walk past a booth and they've got 35 or 40 long boxes at $1 each, it's hard to keep it moving and not go through them and start rummaging. Although one promise I've made to myself this weekend is I'm not going to start any more runs. I'm not going to start any more runs this weekend, but the caveat is if I have a chance to start the Wally West run, Flash Volume 3, If I see a whole bunch of them in the dollar box, I'll probably pull the trigger on that and start that run. That's the one bit of grace I'm going to give myself. If I start a run, it's got to be that Wally West flash run, which is one of my favorite runs of all time. And that era of Wally West is one of my favorites as well. So if I see that, I'll be hardly considering picking that up and starting that. But outside of that, yeah, if you guys have never been to Heroescon, I really recommend it. It's one of the best cons out there. Pure comic books, no voice artists, no actors, you know, no video games, none of that stuff. Pure comic books, comic book creators. They've got a large panel hall upstairs where they run panels all three days, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It's a con where you can go and you can talk to creators and you don't feel like, you know, you're overwhelmed by the crowds. You know, Saturdays get kind of busy, but that's just Saturdays. That's typical Saturdays in general at a con. But yeah, Heroescon, one of my favorite cons out there. And if you're someone who's into comics, I highly recommend going and checking it out. So until next time, I'll talk to you guys later. Have a good weekend. Hopefully I'll see y'all at Heroescon. Bye-bye.